us today is Carl Hoffman, author of The Lunatic Express, Discovering the World via its most dangerous buses, boats, trains, and planes, to talk about his experiences exploring the furthest corners of the globe. Carl, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much.
So I did a little research on you, and this sounds absolutely fascinating. You went across the Gobi Desert, you went across Afghanistan, just to name a few of the wild adventures that you had. Let's go back to what made you take upon this project.
Well, I've been a journalist for many years. I've traveled all over the world, often to wild places. I mean, the Democratic Republic of Congo, Siberia, and everywhere I went, I saw huge quantities of people crowded into conveyances, whether they're hanging off of buses, hanging off of trains. And at the same time, I'm an old aficionado of what's called the bus plunge story, which are the small fillers in newspapers, which are tragedies, I mean, horrible tragedies. You know, bus plunges off cliff, 30 people die. And those, I always wondered about those. You know, there were whole stories, and you know, the people, such incredible tragedies, and I wondered what the stories were behind those. And when I was traveling, I was seeing all these. Suddenly, I connected the two, and I realized that all those people plunging off of cliffs and sinking were the people that I was seeing. And I suddenly had the idea to travel around the world with them and to see the world through their eyes.
What were some of the places that just absolutely blew your mind on how people actually travel for their day-to-day life? What are some of the places?
Well, all over the world. I mean, I took boats through Bangladesh, and very, very crowded boats, ferries across Indonesia. You know, I took a 20-ton propane gas truck across the Gobi Desert. That was a little bit of an anomaly, but.
Was there ever a time when you thought, maybe this is the time that is going to be the real dangerous time? Or were most of you were kind of with all other people, so you felt safe? Or was there one time when you were like, I don't know if this is going to make it?
You know, travel is all about adventure and getting out of your comfort zone and seeing new things. I mean, and curiosity. And so for me, the most incredible experiences on Lunatic Express, to be honest, were several times when I had no idea where I was going, for how long. You know, I traveled without any food, without any water. I took a ferry across Indonesia, big crowded ferry. I mean, thousands of people packed on that ferry to a place called Ambon in the Maluku Islands. And then I saw there were all these little ferries, like old rusty metals and wooden rotting ferries, and I didn't know where I couldn't speak Indonesian in those days. And so I found out there was a ferry leaving the next day, and I said, could I go? And they said, you know, sure. And I went, and I got on that ferry, you know, and I realized I had no idea where we were going. I didn't know when we were going to be back. I didn't bring any bottled water. I didn't bring any food. And I had the most incredible sense of freedom and of joy and of happiness. And always, as it turned out on that trip, people were incredibly nice to me, incredibly friendly, and took me under their wing.
The people that you were traveling with, you must have just seen kind of the hospitality and the warmth of just people that you were traveling with.
Yeah, I mean, I'm an American, and Americans, people love Americans. You know, there's so much negative media out there about you know, making the world seem like such a scary place. And in certain places it is, obviously. But by and large, the world's an incredibly friendly place, and a place where people are hungry to talk to Americans.
Carl, tell me about the book that you have coming out next, actually.
In March, I have a book called The Last Wild Men of Borneo, a true story of death and treasure. And it's about two Western men's obsession with the indigenous people of Borneo, and it's a wild adventure story.
Where can people find out more?
CarlHoffman.com, my website, Twitter @LunaticCarl, Facebook @LunaticCarl.
Thank you so much for being on the show. Thank you.
Thank you.
Stay connected to the Jet Set from wherever you are in the world. Download the Jet Set app today and fly with us via social media. You may even land on the show.